Hey guys, what's up? Unrested back again, and finally I'm back with the camera. And not much has changed. I'm still here at the school. One of the main reasons that my videos slowed down so much for so long in this last couple of months was mostly due to the fact that this school kind of took off. A nearby school actually closed, and I suddenly had an influx of just tons of students. Even this week alone, I have 3 different demos that I'm doing just to grab some new students coming over from that school. So I'm still getting an influx, so hence you see a very disproportionate amount of videos one week and then a bunch another week, and then suddenly I'm back to making videos again. I wasn't even doing video for a while just because I just didn't even have the time to sit down and properly record, get the lighting set up right and everything. Now I think I've got a pretty good setup. And as you can see, the school, well, personally, I still feel like it's looking great. I'm loving it, and things are going well. So, anyway, that said, what I'd like to talk about today is the difference between Bethesda and EA. How these two companies are pretty much polar opposites with, number one, how they treat their fan base, and number two, how they reacted at E3 and presented themselves. One had a stellar show that has everybody hyped after. One had maybe one of the worst E3 shows in all of history and left people kind of scratching their heads as to, do they get it? Do they understand like how much they've pissed off gamers? Let's start first with a rant, and I'm going to start with my rant on EA first, which I'm sure a lot of you can easily understand and probably even agree with. If you don't, that's okay. You know, tell me in the comments below. You know, if you could suddenly change my mind as to EA not being a money-grubbing company, please have at it. I'm more than happy to be an open-minded individual with thoughts outside of EA being one of the most greedy companies out there. Nonetheless, EA taking an entire show mostly to focus on a really crappy mobile game for Command and Conquer, a game that I personally loved back in the days of RTS and playing my Warcraft when it was only an RTS and playing Command and Conquer, Red Alert, and all those. Now they've ruined it with a mobile game, which, I mean, let's just be honest, it's ruined, it's gone. It's a piece of garbage now. It's a bunch of mini transactions, purchasing some sort of fake monetary device to upgrade fake vehicles that you'll, you know, exist in a virtual world that is very poorly put together. And that's kind of become the sum of everything that EA makes. A series of purchases to try and get a full grasp of the game that you've already paid for. Now I realize the mobile game is probably free, but bigger games that released for like $60, such as Star Wars Battlefield, had so much that you needed to purchase in order to have the full depth of the game that even Disney had to pull back and be like, yo, well, we don't want to be associated with this if you're going to try and rob people this bad. It got so bad that legislatures started to be passed to stop loot boxing because it had become like a gambling scenario. You had politicians even speaking out about it. You had jokes made at the Video Game Awards where the man pretended to not open a congratulatory letter until he paid for a loot box, which I thought was utterly hilarious. They've become the laughing stock of the gaming world. They've been cited as one of the most money-grubbing companies out there. Half of their releases these days are just reskins of old properties, which, let me tell you, people are talking about that now. Let me tell you a little bit more experience that I have with EA that you may or may not know. I worked for EA Sports, all right, the Orlando division. I worked there. Go ahead, if you don't believe me, go on eBay right now, purchase yourself an Xbox copy of NASCAR 2004, go to the QA testers section, and you'll find the name Scott Ackerman. That's me. Yes, I play tested and was a playtester for the game NASCAR 2004. A garbage game in which you constantly turn left. Sorry to NASCAR fans, it just doesn't do it for me. Yes, I love racing games, I love Gran Turismo, I love games where you can mod out your car and stuff like that. Sorry, NASCAR just doesn't do it for me. I know I'm from Florida. Maybe I should have a little more loyalty, but I just can't get into it. Nonetheless, I chose that over football because my other thing was Madden that I could have chosen to work on. So I like it more than football. How about that? That whole thing was just a reskin. And the way they ran their company while I was there really showed me the depth of what EA thinks of people in general. We were treated so badly as employees there, and the top management, who were pretty much our bosses there, I mean, literally would take us into a room, and if we hadn't found enough glitches by a certain amount of time, would cuss us out. That would be their motivating factor. That would be how they managed a team. Take them into a big conference room. We had like this whole floor of a giant corporate building bought out, so we had every kind of room you could imagine. And I believe our boss's name was Eric, total douchebag, a little kind of fat-looking goblin little man. And he would take us in there and shout his head off until his face would turn like beet red. And then he would tell us about how lucky we are to have that job, that we could be on the side of the road shoveling tar and filling in ditches. And it's like, yeah, we could be doing that, but you know, maybe those guys shoveling tar are probably getting paid way better because the wages were total shit there. I think we made like $7.50 an hour. And also those guys are probably not getting screamed at by their boss because the boss is probably just happy that they're doing that labor job. You know, really, you know, it's comparable. Which one is worse? Would you rather get paid well out in the hot sun and shovel a job and finish it and get told good job for the day and go home and, you know, have a bunch of money, or be yelled at all day for a little bit more than minimum wage? I don't know if Eric got it there. I don't know if Eric understood. After that game was over, I never went back. I finished, you get hired on, I think it was like 6-month contracts at a time. And if they like your glitch finding ability, which mine was, I'd just say I'm about average. I didn't find a ton compared, some people were just, you know, finding them left and right. I found about just enough to keep me on the contract. And they invited me back to come do NASCAR 2005. That I wasn't game. I never wanted to go back to that company ever again. One of the worst places I've ever worked for. I would definitely put it up there with one of my worst experiences ever. And this is EA. They're one of the worst companies ever. And that's not just me saying it because I've worked there. That's coming out from USA Today polls that take a poll of like how people are treated at companies, how customers feel they're treated by a company. And it always comes back bad. Now, then you've got Bethesda on the other side, and they've made some slip-ups in the past. Bethesda is not perfect. I don't really think any company is. I think every company's kind of had some kind of dark slip-up that's made them look like the fool in the past. But it's how they express themselves after they realize they've done this. For example, the fact that it was being memed, that Skyrim was being made for every damn system possible. They were coming out with the new special edition Skyrim. They were coming out with Skyrim for Switch. You know, they're making it for everything. So at the show, at the E3 show, they come out with this hilarious joke of them making Skyrim for what's the service where it talks to you and lets you order things? It's not Siri. It's the other one based on Halo. And that you could play it via just a verbal game by talking to your AI that orders stuff for you on your computer. It was hilarious. And after that, they showed that you could play it on your refrigerator, your smart refrigerator, just anything possible just to be ridiculous. Yes, we realized we hyped up Skyrim over and over again to be able to play it on a bunch of different systems to the point that you don't care about Skyrim and don't want to hear about Skyrim anymore. We admit that. We were kind of foolish with how crazy we went with it. They called it Very Special Edition Skyrim, which was great. They're laughing at themselves. Guys, this is the best way to disarm people you have made angry, okay? If I come on here and do a live session and I have some guy on there who wants to say faggot, 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 faggot 50 times in a row to me, I'll just say, yeah, I'm a faggot and I'm in love with you, bro. What's your number? And they usually tend to stop saying stuff like that in the comments, and they just calm down and are like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not gonna break this guy. I don't delete, I don't ban, I don't block anybody. The only time I ever really do is if I see like outrageous amount of abuse on another commenter to the point that it's making them uncomfortable being on my channel. That would probably be the only extreme situation in which I would finally ban something. If somebody takes a shot at you, roll with the punches. Just take it. And that's what Bethesda did. They did this perfectly. On top of it, not only did they come back with that little joke, they released a bunch of info on brand new games that people actually want to hear about. Worlds that they've crafted out of a labor of love, not just reskins of another shooting game, you know, of another, oh, here's a shooting game with sci-fi skin, here's a shooting game with a bunch of SJW stuff thrown on top of it, here is another soccer game, it's not FIFA 2017, it's 2018 or 19, or who cares anymore. Look, their shoes are a little different. They've got some different stripes on their jersey. Their names have changed. No, they didn't just do that. They didn't just call it Skyrim and then just give them bigger horns on their helmets and say, it's a new Skyrim with different armor. They released a new space sci-fi game they're coming out with. They released info on Fallout 76. They released new info that, yes, we are working on Elder Scrolls 6. Of course, you know, anybody can elaborate on where they think it's gonna be. Personally, I do hope it is High Rock. I'm a big Breton fan, so come on, Bethesda, let's do High Rock. I don't want Hammerfell. I'm not a big fan of the orcs, or the Orsimer as they're called. And this is how you combat being memed by your audience. This is how you bow down to your audience and say, yes, we understand, we appreciate you as a customer, and we hear you, we are listening. It shows that their lead PR guy, Todd, I forget what his last name is, actually understands how to interact. And my personal theory, I don't know this, I don't know a ton about the guy, but I did hear that he started at the bottom and worked his way all the way to the top. He started in just answering customer call-ins and taking like bug reports from customers, or, you know, critical comments by customers, and worked his way up from like just the phone jockey all the way up to now being head of PR for their entire games division in Bethesda area. I know they have other ones like Montreal and stuff like that, but that's what he's in charge of, and I think that's how he's come to understand the little man. You've got to work down at the bottom with the little man to get yourself up to the top, and then you'll understand them so much better. I think this is one of the biggest problems you see with Konami. You're left with a bunch of CEOs who have been out of touch with the common man for ages, not just even in Japan, but outside of Japan and internationally, and that's why the company's being run into the ground now and is pretty much just a pachinko reject. Anyway, guys, those are like 2 little cents on the E3 show. You know, leave your comments below. Change my mind on something that I've said, and I'm open to any ideas that you have. Until you see me again, fuck you very much for watching.